Back here in the state, the legislative and judicial branches dealt a pair of blows to a state law banning swipe fees being applied to the tax and tip portion of a debit or credit card transaction. Lawmakers delayed the ban for another year until July 1st of 2027, but a federal judge also issued a permanent injunction against it, citing federal rules that were recently rewritten by the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. Now, the injunction only applies to national banks, federal savings associations, payment networks, and out-of-state banks. It doesn't apply to state-chartered institutions, causing further uncertainty. The latest move leaves Illinois first in the nation law in both legislative and judicial limbo.